In the summer of 1994, while living in the mountains of Western Canada, Harriman, after months of following the developments of the Shoemaker-Levy comet, decided to pack his small personal telescope onto his rucksack and scale the closest, highest peak so that he may observe the comet colliding with the surface of Jupiter. Weeks prior to the event, the media, reporting from the astrophysical community, stated that none of the impacts would be visible to the amateur observer, and that these impacts may even be difficult for the high-powered telescopes to observe. Harriman, however, disagreed. To him, the impact of these high-velocity objects composed of H2O provided all the chemistry necessary for a fiery show, and Harriman was not about to miss it. Sitting on the summit of Mount Wedge, Harriman night after night witnessed the awesome and spectacular event. In some cases, flames the size of Canada emerged from the impact coordinates, leaving behind enormous black depressions, visible even with weak telescopic capacity.
So one of those nights I was on the summit, and it was just a magical moment. On one side I had low cloud coverage over the peaks that were below me, and I could see the lightning lighting up those clouds. And on the other side I had the sun setting, and the moon was rising, and it was just the most clear night. And I was looking at Jupiter through my telescope, and I started to think of the surface feature of Jupiter and that huge red spot, almost 1.5 times the size of the Earth on Jupiter, that constantly, steadily stays at the same latitude. And I thought, what about that dynamic? Is that staying there for some particular reason? What is forcing that huge vortex of Coriolis dynamics to stay at that latitude all the time? You'd expect that it would dissipate eventually, you'd expect that it would move in latitude, go all over the place, but it doesn't. And I thought, what if that structure on the surface of Jupiter is staying there because of the dynamics of the structure of the vacuum, the tetrahedron inside the sphere dictating that energy event to happen at that particular spot on Jupiter.
Upon his return, Harriman began to investigate. He found that not only did the red spot on Jupiter orbit very close to the magical 19.47 latitude of the tetrahedron inscribed in a sphere, but that many other planets exhibited similar dynamics. Harriman was not the only one to have noted this phenomenon. At the time, Richard C. Hoagland, former science consultant to Walter Cronkite, CBS News, CNN, and NASA, had come to conclude that some hyperdimensional tetrahedral dynamics had to be at play in planetary structures. He noted that not only did the red spot on Jupiter exhibit the appropriate geometric latitude, but that many other planetary energy events were consistent with this geometry. The largest volcano in our solar system, Olympus Mons on Mars, is situated near 19.47 north latitude. Hoagland used this perspective as well to predict energy phenomena at specific latitudes on other planets that were later confirmed by NASA's probe photographs.
So I applied the same geometry to the Earth, and I realized that if you put a tetrahedron inside the Earth so that one point is at the South Pole and the other points are at 19.47 latitude on the surface of the Earth in the North Hemisphere. And I looked around to see what was there, and sure enough I found the most active volcanoes on Earth, the Hawaiian volcanoes, exactly at that latitude. And then I went along that latitude and I found the city of Titicacacan, north of Mexico City, to be at that latitude as well, which is quite remarkable. As we saw in the presentation, the mathematics of that city were decoded by Hugh Hollison Jr. to describe the dynamics of a sphere with a tetrahedron in it. And so not only does the city have these mathematics in it, but the city itself on the surface of the earth is at that latitude that demarked the relationship of a tetrahedron and a sphere. Remarkable.
Our local star, the Sun, is no exception to this phenomenon. Hot bands of high-energy plasma and intense sunspot activity are found to stabilize at approximately 19.47 degrees latitude north and south. Our Sun follows a very regular 11-year cycle in which the Sun periodically flips its poles and increases its radiation intensity. The last solar maximum occurred in 2001, making the following maximum the year 2012. This date is in direct agreement with the so-called solar Mayan calendar in parentheses, still one of the most accurate calendars on Earth, which predicts that 2012 would mark a change in the Sun's quality, resulting from a much larger cycle where our Sun would transition from the fifth sun to the sixth sun. Harriman believes that these ancient traditions may have been tracking the larger cycles of the position of our solar system relative to the galactic disk. Our Sun is located approximately 26,000 light years from the galactic center and orbits our galactic disk approximately once every 250 million years. However, our Sun rotates along the galactic arm in a periodicity of approximately 60 million years, whereby the Sun crosses the equator of our galactic disk once every 30 million years.
Very nearly on the same day, a new picture appears that gives new force to the alien theory, this time in Crabwood, near the town of Winchester in Hampshire. Once again we see a face, but this time there is an unmistakable resemblance to something extraterrestrial. The picture also contains a print, somewhat similar to that of a CD, with something that appears to be a coded message. This formation also has a new type of design, this time with horizontal line patterns of variable thickness, similar to that of a TV picture. The message on the disc is similar to a spiral band built up of many boxes. But data expert Paul Weige manages to decipher the message.
And I had to enlarge the disc quite substantially on the computer and run some image analysis over it to make it clear so that I could see what was a standing tuft and what was flattened. And while I was doing this, I noticed that every so often there was almost a mistake in the diagram. It was like there was a tuft, where the little square tuft, it had done sort of half size.
The message is in English and reads as follows. Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing. Many have been surprised by this message. Are there aliens with such faces that we should be aware of? Or is this a picture of the sender? Does this indicate the start of actual close contact with neighbors in the universe?
It was what, in the 50s or whatever, you had that spaceship.
Dad.
Yeah, that thing that you found in New Mexico.
Dad.
Where was it?
Not the spaceship.
Was that Roswell? Roswell, New Mexico, yeah. No, you had the spaceship and you had the bodies. They were all locked up in a bunker. Where was that? David.
I don't know.
Area 51, right? Area 51. You knew then, and you did nothing.
And you will be launching the largest aerial battle in the history of mankind. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interest. Perhaps it's fate that today is the 4th of July. And you will once again be fighting for our freedom. Not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. The 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.